Hello everyone, welcome to BI Consulting Pro. This is episode 11 of our DA100 tutorial series, and in today's video we are going to discuss about manage datasets in Power BI. In today's video we will first discuss about the creating dynamic reports with parameters. Then we will discuss about what if parameters in Power BI and what can be the use cases for them. We will also discuss about the Power BI gateway, the different kinds of gateway available in Power BI and how and when to use them. Then we'll discuss about the schedule refresh in Power BI, which is going to help you to schedule dataset refresh in your Power BI reports. And then we will discuss about the incremental refresh in Power BI, how to achieve that and what can you do with the incremental refresh and why actually you need it. Also, we will touch down the troubleshooting service connectivity in Power BI. And then at last, we are gonna talk about the boosting the performance with Power BI caching, which is a Power BI premium feature. So enough all the talking, let's get started. Dynamic reports are reports in which the data can be changed by a developer according to user specifications. Dynamic reports are valuable because a single report can be used for multiple purposes. If you use dynamic reports, you will have fewer individual reports to create, which will save organizational time and resources. So now I'm gonna show you how we can create dynamic reports with parameters. Over here, I have opened my SQL Server Management Studio where I have written it down small SQL script where employee key equals to 13. So what I'm gonna do, I'll just copy this one, and after that I'm gonna open my Power BI desktop application where I'm trying to connect with the SQL server, and since it's installed on my local machine, so I can use it like this. And here in the SQL statement I'm gonna use this SQL query. Once you do so, click OK. It would take a couple of seconds and then connect. After some time you can see that it has been connected. Now we can go in the transform tab. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a parameter over here. So for that, you can see on my top ribbon there is a tab which is saying manage parameters, and I'm gonna create a new parameter. So over here I can provide my name, so I'll say employee key. If you want to mention any description you can, otherwise let it be. And after that I'm gonna say take it as a text, any value, and initial value is 13. Click OK. So now you can see there's another query which is a parameter over here. So this is going to be my parameter that I want to use to get any employee data in my Power Query. Now what I'm gonna do, I'll go over here and I can right click and advanced editor, and over here you will see my Power Query is there, which is my M code, and here at last you see that where employee.employee key equals to 13. So now I would like to replace this 13 with my parameter, so that whenever I need to get data from any employee I can just change it over here. For that, let me remove this, and instead of that I'm going to use ampersand and my parameter name, which is my employee key, which KYE, it's key, but we have already mentioned in our parameter name KYE, so I'm gonna take it as it is. Now you can see there's no error. We can click done. Now again, if I'll go my advanced editor, you can see that parameter is there, employee key. Cancel this, and now if I change it, this parameter to 15, let's say our data should be up here for 15. I need to edit permission. I say run, and now here our data is coming for 15. So that's how we can create parameter. We can utilize them in our advanced query editor, and after that we don't need to hard code any value. So we can just change the parameter value and we can get the any values. To accommodate multiple values at a time, you first need to create a Microsoft Excel worksheet that has a table consisting of one column that contains the list of the values, and in our case we have the employee key. So over here we have another way to do that. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna first get the values from the table, and for that I'll get all the employee keys from my employee table. Now we have this, and this is my column, so I just need this one. So I'll say remove other columns because I'm not gonna need them. So as you can see that now I have all the employee keys that I want to utilize as a parameter. Now I have to change its data type, and for that what we can do, we can come over here and I can make it as a text. So now this field is a text field because our parameter is a text one. Now next we need to create a function, so I'll come over here on my query one. I'll say create a new function. So now you can see your function is over here. To ensure that this query one doesn't show up in the field list for the report, which could potentially confuse users, I can disable it from loading it in the report by just right clicking over here and selecting enable load. Now what I need to do, I need to invoke the function. Okay, so now what we need to do, we need to select this one. We'll go over here in add columns, and over here we are gonna say invoke custom function, and we can give it a name. Over here we'll say emp key function, and we can select the column name, which is my employee key, which is in this one. This is my column that I want to invoke over here, and make sure that you always select the column name from this and click OK. Once you will click OK, it would ask again for your permission. Say run. After this, you will see a screen similar to this one. You can check the number of columns or the columns that you want to include in your Power BI report, and once done, then close and apply, and you will see report something like this. So that's how we can manage the dynamic parameters for multiple values. Now next we are going to discuss about what if parameter. You can use what if parameter to run scenarios and scenario type analysis on your data. What if parameters are powerful addition to your Power BI data model and report because they enable you to look at historical data to analyze potential outcomes if a different scenario had occurred. Additionally, what if parameters can help you to look forward to predict or forecast what could happen in the future. So in order to create the what if parameters, first of all we need to get the data, and let me get some data first from my SQL server. So now you can see that I have loaded the data over here on my right hand side. You can see in my fields view. Also I have this visualization pane which I'm gonna use it later, but right now we are talking about the what if parameter, so we need to see how we can create it. But before going that, I need to create a measure for the total sales, which I'm gonna create in fact internet sales table. Now, as I was talking about the what if parameters, suppose I want to check how my sales is gonna go if I'm gonna multiply a certain number with my current total sales amount. So in that case, it's very helpful, and in case of forecast also you can use it. So before going into this one, we have to go on our home tab, and once we are in the home tab, so now we have to create the what if parameter. For that, we can go over here in the modeling, and under modeling tab you will find the new tab over here which is saying what if. So I'll go over here, I'm gonna create a new parameter. Now you can provide your parameter name over here. It's a whole number. You can give minimum or maximum value. In our case, we are gonna say I want from 0 to 1.5, increment of 0.05, and default value would be 1, and the value you have to change to decimal, and you will see it's appearing OK. Click OK. As soon as you will hit OK button, you will see there is a new slicer appearing on your design pane or the design window, and here let's say we can give the value over here, or you can use the slider. But now I want to see my total sales for the different countries when I'm gonna add this multiplier. Like what if I'm gonna multiply by 1 or 0.005 or 0.25, like something like that. So for that, first and we are going to use my total sales multiply by my measure that we created. So there would be one measure that we created which is my multiplier, sales multiplier, which is coming from my what if parameter that we have created. So hit enter, and you will see on your right hand side window under the fields pane we have this measure, and I'm gonna bring it under the values. So currently we are not multiplying anything in this one. So now you can drag this and you can see your sales is changing. That means you are multiplying this with a factor. That's how we are calling it what if parameter. What is gonna happen if I'm gonna multiply certain factor into my total sales. So it can have different use cases. You can see according to your requirement what you want to use, but this is how it's gonna work, and you can slide it or you can just give some values over here and you will get your required output. Now we are gonna talk about the data gateways in Power BI. Gateway software acts like a bridge. It allows organizations to retain databases and other data sources on their on-premise networks and access that on-premise data in cloud services, such as Power BI and Microsoft Azure Analysis services. A gateway facilitates quick, behind-the-scenes communication that flows from a user in the cloud to your on-premise data source and then back again to the cloud. Basically, whenever you are trying to connect any on-premise data with your Power BI service, there should be a link between these two. Your website is completely different and your data is on your machine. So ideally, there is no link between these two services. So what you need to do in order to get the data or to refresh your data in Power BI service, you need to install this software which is known as Power BI Data Gateways. So it comes in two forms. One is personal, another is the standard or on-premise one. So now I'm gonna talk to you about what is the organizational mode and what is the personal mode, when you should go for the personal or when you should go for the organizational mode. So let's discuss about the organizational mode first. Organizational mode allows multiple users to connect to multiple on-premise data sources and is suitable for complex scenarios. That gateway must be installed on the same server as the data source. That means your machine from where you are getting the data, it should be installed on that machine itself. And also it's been shared between the users. So in this case, multiple user can manage this one. You don't need to depend on just one user. And when it comes to the personal mode, which allows one user to connect to the data sources. This type of gateway can be used only with Power BI and it can't be shared with other users. As I mentioned you earlier, if you need to share your gateway with multiple users, you should always go with the organizational mode. So it is suitable in situations where you are the only one in your organization who create reports. You will install the gateway on your local computer, which needs to stay online for the gateway to work. So always my suggestion is to go with the organizational mode, or it's also known as the standard mode. In order to download it, you can go on your Power BI service, and from there you can go to the downloads and you can download the software. Now let's move further and we will talk about use an on-premise gateway. Before you can connect to your on-premise data source, you need to install the on-premise data gateway and then configure it to suit your organizational needs. Usually, this task is completed by an admin in your organization. When the on-premise gateway is installed and configured, you can start the gateway and then sign in by using your Microsoft 365 organizational account. Once you're gonna sign in, then you have to also generate your key and always keep this key with you, because whenever you are gonna again install it or updating, or you want to move it on some another machine, you would always need that key. So please do not lose that key in any case. As I just mentioned to you, if you need to download the Power BI on-premise gateway, what you can do, you can come over here on your Power BI service account. You can come under this download section and over here you can see the data gateway. It's gonna redirect you to another portal from where you can download it. And now you will get two options over here: download the standard mode or download the personal mode. So the standard mode is the organizational mode. You can click on this download. Once it's gonna get downloaded onto your machine, like over here, it's being downloaded on my machine. Now you can open the file and you need to follow the simple instructions to download it. First, you have to provide the location where you would like to install and make sure it's gonna install on the same machine where your data source lies. For example, I have installed my SQL server on premise on this machine, so it should be on this machine only. If you want me to make another separate video on the Power BI data gateways, I can make it and I'll let you know guys once it's gonna be available on our YouTube channel. But meanwhile, this is what you need to know. Now let's get back to our point where we were discussing about the use on an on-premise data gateway. Now this on-premise data gateway, one gateway for multiple cloud services and experiences. That means your gateway can be utilized for the Azure Analysis Service, Azure Logic Apps, Power BI, Power Apps, and Automate, and plus your on-premise data sources. There are many data sources which are already on cloud, even like Azure Analysis Services and all. We don't actually need to install any gateway. That is the on-premise gateway. So there is a gateway cloud service and Azure Service Bus which automatically acts behind the scene for Power BI. However, but if your data is on-premise, then definitely you need the on-premise data gateway, and where you can see on my screen, first it decrypts the data source credential and connects to the data source and then sends the data source and return to the result of the gateway cloud service. Now we are gonna discuss about how to do the schedule refresh for your on-premise data. For that, first of all, you have to install your Power BI data gateway, and I strongly recommend always install in the standard mode or organizational mode. And after that, what you have to do, once you configure your data gateway on your machine where your data source lies, then you have to go on your Power BI service. I'm on my Power BI service account and I have just published one report into my demo workspace. So you can see this is my report which I just published over here, and I was recently working on that. So now you have to come back over this and you have to go on the dataset part. This is my dataset part, and here you can see schedule refresh. So here you have to do all the configuration. Click on this one, and now here you will see data gateway connection. Over here you have to configure it, and it says that not configured correctly, so you have to configure it over here. And then you have to select this. You will select your data gateway over here, and then you will come under the schedule refresh, and here you can set up your schedule refresh, your date, time, or how many times in a day, whatsoever is your requirement, you can do over here. So that's how you are going to do it. So the next part comes the incremental data refresh in Power BI. Basically, this means that when we have a large amount of data sets in terms of hundreds of GB or a lot of data, that would take a lot of time to load. So in that scenarios, we don't need to load whole data, because generally data gets updated for last 1 month maximum, or 2 months, or in some scenarios just last 1 or 2 days. So we don't need to load the whole data. What we can do instead of that, we can set up the incremental refresh policies in Power BI, and that would just load the last data for the last couple of weeks or days or months, and it won't load data from the beginning that you have in your Power BI. You have to define your incremental policies over there, like how many years of data you want to keep, and also how many data in past you want to refresh in your Power BI. I have already created a wonderful video for this one which would explain you from beginning to the end. I'll provide you a link in the description section, so please don't forget to check that out. The next part comes manage and promote data sets. So this is a very wonderful feature in Power BI. Generally what happens, there are lots of geniuses who works on the Power BI data sets in your organization, and then that data set can be utilized to create another report. That means we don't need to create data sets again and again, and we don't want to flush our Power BI services with a lot of data that even we don't need. Instead of that, what we can do, we can utilize the same data set created by some another person, and that we can use as a Power BI data set into our report. We can connect live with that, and once you would have that, you can use it. But how to make sure that this is the right data set? So for that, Power BI provides you a couple of options, like you can recommend or you can promote that data set, and then you can make it certified after creating the reports, testing, after doing a lot of testings and everything. Once you are 101% sure that this data set is the one that you can utilize, and also in some cases people call that a golden data set, which has every data from your database that can be used to create any other reports. So generally it happens like for example, guys in your organizations maybe, or in some organizations, what they do, they create the tabular models or SSAS models, and then they create those data models out of their data warehouses, and then they do a lot of rigorous testings. Once they say okay, it's perfect, they publish on the Power BI services, and then you guys can use that data set to create any report that you would like to. So how to promote a data set, or how to make it a certified one? For that, you have to go on your Power BI services. Like over here, I'm here. First you need to come on your Power BI services, and over here you will see there are the data sets. And for example, this is my data set, I want to promote it. So what I can do, I can come in the settings part, and here you will see an option called endorsement. Here you will see a couple of options. One is none, another is promoted, and third one is the certified one. So only the admin can make a data set as a certified one. But any other guys who work on the dataset, they can promote it. Promote means you are just saying, okay, this is the right dataset, we should make it as a certified one. But the last decision would be up to the testings done on that datasets or reports created from this dataset. And once your admin is happy, or the one who is in charge of handling these kinds of QA activities, they are happy, they can say, okay, let's make it a certified dataset. During your promotion or promoted action over here, you have to mention why you are trying to promote this one, or you can make just a simple description and then apply. This result would go to the admin and admin can look into this one. So that's how you can do it. Once your dataset is being certified by your admin, then you will see this kind of icon on your datasets, like in your workspace where you have different datasets. You will see this kind of icon like it's being certified, or if it's promoted, you will get a promoted icon where under the endorsement. Now we are going to talk about the troubleshoot service connectivity. That means in many scenarios you will see that you are not able to connect with the Power BI services or Power BI data gateway, as we just encountered previously when I was trying to connect with my Power BI data gateway. In that case, what happens generally your data source credentials are not correct. For example, you are connecting with your SharePoint, and then whenever you are trying to set up your schedule refresh, it's gonna say, okay, your data source can't be refreshed because the credentials are invalid. So in that case, you just need to connect again with your right credentials and you are good to go. So always check under the data source credentials whether you have entered your right credentials or not, and then you are good to go always. Now finally, we are going to talk about how we can boost the performance of our Power BI reports, which simply means how we can quickly render the Power BI reports or the data on Power BI service. For that, we have an option which is known as query caching. That means it can cache the data on Power BI service itself. But always remember that this is a Power BI premium feature. You cannot use it in Power BI Pro account. So what you need to do, first you need to publish your Power BI dataset on the Power BI service and in the premium workspace. Please note that your dataset should be in Power BI premium workspace only, which is a capacity based workspace. Then only you will find this option, otherwise not. So let me show you how to do that. You will see over here, this is my demo workspace which is not on premium capacity, and if I'll go over here, I'll go in the dataset. Under the settings, I won't get any query caching option over here, so there is no query caching option. If I'll go in my premium workspace, so let me go over there and you will see this is my premium workspace. Over here, once I'll go, I'll see this is my data set, and if I'll go in this data set and I'll see the settings option, then you will see there's an option which is saying query caching. So here I got the different options. You can choose whichever is good for you, and then you can simply click apply. So what this would do, this is going to cache the data in the Power BI memory, and this is going to help you out to render the data quickly whenever some user is rendering the report. If you have any questions or concerns, please do let us know in the comment section and stay tuned for more updates.